What's going on YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to talk about Nightwing issue number 118. This one is written by Tom Taylor, art by Bruno Redondo, Adriano Lucas on colors. This is the finale to Tom Taylor's run and Bruno Redondo's, because I mean, other artists kind of jumped in a few times here and there, but primarily Tom Taylor's run on writing Nightwing. It's been a couple years in the making. We're finally at the end of this Heartless storyline, which I'm thankful for because that storyline went on for so very, very long. And I was like, can we finally get to the end? It was kind of like, but at least, like I said, like you had the Detective Comics one with the Orkhams that went on for very long. And I don't mind long-term storylines, but some things you just like, we could wrap this up a little bit sooner. But we're finally at the end here. And yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting run on Nightwing. At first, it started out really strong. It was a pretty big breath of fresh air, especially after the whole Rick Grayson thing. You got Dick and Barbara back together after this whole will they, won't they thing for a while. And even the end of this issue hints that there may be more to it, but now that Taylor's not writing the book, I don't know what Dan Watters is going to do, but in the stuff I've read of Dan Watters, there's no real emphasis on romance or anything like that. So it probably won't be a while before, like most new writers take over, like, I'm going to throw this away, I'll just move on to something else. If DC had any guts, they'd actually commit to something, but we've seen with the whole, like, Batman, Catwoman wedding thing, they're never going to commit to anything like that with these characters, unless you're Superman and Lois, in which case they actually did, so I commend them for that. But yeah, so this is the conclusion to the story arc. Did it go out on a high note, a whimper, or anything like that? I think overall the issue was, you know, a nice kind of way to wrap things up. I don't think it's really, like, the best issue in this whole run. There's some things I liked for sure. Once again, like, things feel like they kind of went, like, kind of wrapped up a little bit more on the easier side. I mean, I've had my issues with this run on Nightwing for sure. I don't think it was downright terrible, like a lot of people have made it out to be, but it definitely could have been better. I think there's issues with some of the stories just feeling like too much fluff, and you never really felt the stakes to anything. Anytime something would go on, like Dick Grayson basically had an easy out. He never really did like everything on his own. And then of course you had times where everybody was constantly praising him, like over and over, like, wow, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, he's such a great guy. So like, I didn't need to be constantly reminded of that over and over again. I felt like he could never do anything on his own. Some story arcs, like there was some really cool, visually interesting stuff going on. Like there were some comic books where they're done in fully of POV. Like Bruno Redondo's artwork has been probably my favorite thing about this run in general. So, and of course the emphasis on like how important Alfred was to Dick was emphasized throughout. So I like that aspect to it for sure. So basically, end of the last issue, or this arc or whatever, Heartless is pretending to be Dick Grayson. He got the heart from Blockbuster. And so Dick decides to shave his beard. You got the Bat family there looking for the missing kids that he kind of kidnapped. And basically Dick Grayson goes to confront Heartless, who's claiming to be Dick Grayson. So everyone sees in person, hey, look, it's Dick Grayson, the real person. So Heartless is like, I know you're Nightwing. And then Dick's like, I know who you are, Shelton. And hey, look, it looks like everything's been taken care of. All the kids have been saved and all that. So that was kind of like off panel. And again, I know there's not as much real estate to kind of wrap that up within this single issue, but I feel like we could have gotten a little bit more of that. It felt like everything was just kind of conveniently wrapped up with that plot line, kind of easy with, oh, everyone's coming in, takes care of this, let's get down to you and me fighting. And that's basically what we kind of get in this thing. I thought they actually like were going to show a little bit of guts in one instance when Haley the dog gets shot, but then I'm like, you know what, Tom Taylor will take criticism for like killing Nightwing and Injustice and other characters throughout Deceased, but there's no way in hell he's actually going to kill a dog. I'm like, but if they actually want the Turner and Hooch route, I would have been kind of surprised. But one thing that was kind of like crazy was Heartless using his little heart-ripping gun on Tony Zucco's face and killing him in person. His butler or whatever kind of gets knocked off to the side, but I mean, he's probably going to come back alive maybe at some point because we don't really see a full-blown body. But Dick's dog getting shot, I thought they were actually going to like go like with the whole Turner and Hooch thing, which is, you know, a movie I love, but that ending still kind of gets me. But of course, Haley will turn out fine in the end of it. But yeah, so Heartless is kind of taken down. Dick Grayson lets him know that you're not going to be remembered for anything. The victims will be remembered. We're going to kind of erase you from the web. And everything that you try to do, the impact in it, like, it's going to be meaningless in the end. He does try to save him at one point because his heart is giving out because he wants to take Dick Grayson's, but ultimately he just kind of fades away. And then, of course, Dick goes to kind of save his dog. Now, I would have liked a little bit of tension and suspense there to see if the dog was going to be okay because, I mean, she did just get shot, but we come to find out later on that ends up being just fine. So, and then we get a nice touching scene where Dick goes to the grave of his parents. He has these like Pennyworth flowers, and he kisses Barbara. And there's one moment here where he talks about, "Hey, Mom and Dad, that's Babs. I hope I get to marry her one day." And will they actually do that? Probably not, knowing DC. I actually think that would have been kind of something I would have wrapped up, at least done something big for this series. Have them actually get married. Actually have some guts. Plan it out. Don't chicken out like you did. Remember the whole, like, Batman Catwoman wedding? Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We wasted, like, all this time, all these tie-ins, and then they spoiled it beforehand that she just basically left him at the altar. After that, I'm like, I'm done with this duo. Like, never again do I want to see it. Don't ever, like, go through all that fiasco, say they're going to get married, and then chicken out at it. Like, that was such a cop-out storyline. And I think that burned so many people because, like, all right, let's issue 50. Let's get this wedding. Oh, wow. It's not actually going to happen. So, yeah, and of course, like I said, a nice touching moment where kind of Dick says, like, his goodbyes there to his parents right here. I mean, he has the Alfred flowers and all that. But like I said, the emphasis on Alfred is there throughout the issue. And then, of course, the final panel is him, Babs, and Bitewing, kind of done in the vein. It was like Starry Night, that Vincent van Gogh painting. And it's a nice, beautiful image. But I can't help but thinking, like, isn't it really dangerous to have a dog hanging from the side of a crane like that? Again, that's to show that the dog ended up being okay, but I would have actually liked a little bit of emotions of this, like, oh no, is his dog going to make it? Like, please don't go. You could have really kind of felt like the stakes there, and like the emotions made it a little bit heavier. But of course, that's kind of like, we see that the dog's just fine. So we're kind of robbed of anything there, which I would have liked a little bit of tension there to know if the dog was going to okay, and then finding out that, you know, surgery went fine. So that to me would have been a nice kind of way to, like, kind of wrap up the storyline, because they kind of brushed over it really quickly and just like, oh, see, everything's fine. I'm like, yeah, that's the thing though. Like, so many issues felt like we kind of dragged this thing out, but then towards the end, like, oh, we got to hurry up and rush and just kind of finish things. So it's like you're taking your time for, like, on a bunch of it kind of reminds me like when I take a quiz sometime, and it's like a timed one online. You spend a lot of time on some of the earlier questions, and then you kind of look over and realize, oh crap, I only have a few minutes left. So like, how am I ever going to get like enough time to kind of do all these questions? And then you have to kind of rush through them. You don't have as much time to focus and think things out towards the end. That's kind of how I felt with this final story arc here. But at the same time, I am relieved that we are at the end of it, and we don't have to deal with Heartless anymore, because that was a complaint I had. Like, how are we just forgetting about this character? Are we ever going to wrap it up? But of course, it's concluded at the very, 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 very end. And I don't know how long, like, I don't know if he planned 3 years on the title. Be like, okay, we're going to have like 40 or so issues or whatever it was. When did you start? So 78, like 30 issues or something like that. It was a really long time. 30, what was it, 78? I think it started on 78. So 78 to 108, that's 30. It's like 40 issues or something in Nightwing. I don't know. I've lost track. But it is a run that I won't forget. Out of the run since 2016, because who started out? Was it Tim Seeley started out on the book? And then I think we got Ben Percy for a little bit, and then we had the whole Rick Grayson thing, and I think a few people tried to take a crack at it. Dan Jurgens tried to save it, but nobody was saving Rick Grayson. Then finally, Dick Grayson returns, and then we finally, like, got like this run, which at first, like I said, I was really enjoying the start of it. Then there's some iffy things like Dick Grayson having a sister, and I don't really think I like that. Like, why do we need like all like 70 plus years and all of a sudden like, oh, we have a long lost sibling plotline that didn't really feel like it really went much of anywhere. But yeah, stuff like that, or the fact that like so many issues, like you have the Titans in there to kind of clean things up, and then there's this, and then there's that, and like I liked kind of the more grounded, grittier stuff, and I like to see Nightwing challenged. And not to say that like the supporting cast isn't like important to have there, but sometimes it's like Dick Grayson could never really do anything on his own. He was always kind of bailed out, and I really wanted to see like Dick Grayson kind of challenged. Like in some instances, like you want the family that there to help, but then there's other times where you want to see the hero like really kind of struggle with things on their own. But here it felt like there was an easy out for kind of everything. Like all the bases were covered in that too. So like it was kind of like made the story a little bit trickier to like feel any stakes whatsoever at times. But again, there were good moments in it for sure. And I guess I mixed a positive on the run as a whole. Like I didn't despise this thing like a lot of people did. In fact, there was a lot of issues I did like, but then there's some things I definitely didn't like for sure. I do think they made like some characters a little bit more interesting, like the character of Bia, from like, you know, this like pirate to like this spy and all that too, like compared to where she was starting out and like the Rick Grayson stuff. I thought they made that a little bit more interesting. And like I said, I liked Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon together, personally, and I was kind of thinking, like, are we actually going to do a wedding issue or something at some point? Like, do something that Batman editorial, like, refused to do, didn't have the guts to. But no, we didn't quite get that in this thing, so I don't think Dan Watters will do it. I don't know who would actually go through with it, because like I said, when it comes to like Nightwing and that, they always, like, for certain heroes, they always leave their love interest kind of ambiguous, unless you're Superman and Lois, which they did the Superman Wonder Woman thing briefly in the New 52, but not too many people really like that. But Superman and Lois, like I said, that's just been kind of the iconic couple that's really just kind of stuck together, and you don't want to see them, like, take it apart. I mean, Superman and Lois are like the OG. But yeah, when it comes to like the other heroes, they're just like, no. Arthur and Mira kind of stick together too. So, but like Wally and Linda, like, okay, that one, they definitely stuck together, and they're a married couple with kids. So I don't know, a few of the heroes can get away with that, but like with the Batman stuff, like nobody ever like sticks with one love interest. It's always thrown out of all over the place, like nobody. And like I said, nobody, like it never works out for like any of them. So I was kind of thinking like maybe they would actually do something a little bit different here, but no, probably not. So, but yeah, I feel like I've kind of rambled on, gotten off on a bit of a tangent. So I do think this storyline wrapped itself up nicely, at least for this particular thing. It took way too long to kind of get here, kind of like the Orcam stuff, but at least Nightwing had some more interesting stuff going on. It wasn't stuck like there's kind of a pro and a con. Like the Orcam thing in Detective Comics, the Ram V run, which I did have issues with. Like, it was just one storyline that just kind of got like boring after a while. Nightwing, yeah, we kept taking so many detours, and it just felt like we didn't have focus on finishing things, but at least there was some more exciting stuff at times, and you could get a little bit of a break from it. Like in like 3 years or whatever, like if I just was stuck in the same thing after a while, it could get a little bit tiresome if it wasn't all that interesting. So like I said, there's good things in here for sure, and then there's some things that I wasn't too big a fan of. But also, like I said, you don't need to sometimes drag out specific storylines for that long. I think it just, the audience starts to lose interest in a way. But yeah, I like I said, I'm rambling on a bit too much, but I did like this issue overall. And like I said, I'm glad I did read the entire run. It did feel like a breath of fresh air. Felt like some hiccups here and there. Mixed to positive overall on the run. But I am ready for a new creative team. So, because like I said, after a while, it just kind of was like, just felt like I was kind of going through the motions of this thing. Breath of fresh air early on, really enjoying it to start with the first arc. And then we kind of just like went off a little bit. I'm like, I just feel like there's no weight to anything. Oh, here come the Titans to come in and all that other stuff. And then we just kind of like lost the momentum. But like I said, we finally closed off in a decent way. Could have been a little bit stronger, like I said, since they did shoot like his dog. I would have liked at least one scene in suspense if she's going to make it or not. But again, I don't think Tom Taylor would kill the dog. He would, like I said, you can kill all sorts of people off. People will hate you for it, but if you kill an animal, people will hate you forever. So nobody wants to see the dog die. So, but again, I think, like I said, I would have liked a little bit of suspense there. Like just like one page, just one panel with him like in surgery, just kind of making sure like you get the emotions and all that too all together, and just get like a happy moment. Like I would have felt something a little bit more than kind of skipping over that. Like that's one of my big complaints. Like I would have liked something there rather than just saying, oh, everything's fine, because like I said, it kind of takes me out of the moment. We're kind of robbed of something there, like the sacrifice like his dog made, like where it's introduced in this run. That would have been a little bit more emotionally impactful. Like I said, keep the dog alive, but like at least have that scene where you're not sure if she's gonna make it or not. And then you get that, okay, that would have been a little bit happier, and you could have pulled a little bit on the heartstrings a little bit there. You had the moment right there. But then again, maybe if they did Fall Grayson parts 6 to 6, we could have got that. So I don't know. But whatever's next for Nightwing, I hope Dan Watters does a good job. Can be very iffy sometimes as a writer. I've covered a lot of comic books and backups written by Dan Watters, and I haven't exactly been the most major fan, because a lot of the storylines were kind of weird, with like, there's a lot of stuff like Ten-Eyed Man and like all this, I don't know, like philosophical dialogue, like, people would say things that would just, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, like artsy, if that makes sense. Oh, think of the thematic this, that, like people go on like speeches and like weird conversations and a whole bunch of like other things like in the run. So, or in the stuff written by the author. So, we'll see what happens next. What did you think of this issue? What did you think of this run? You happy we're finally getting new creatives? I think after a while, it is time for a new creative. Like if this book was like up to the quality of like, say like World's Finest consistently, then I'd be like, I'm sad to see it go. But kind of like, like, what was it, like Batman and Robin under Williamson, who, like I said, I was thankful for what they did with the character to start, but like after a while you didn't really feel as much energy or like commitment to telling like the best stories possible like you did at the start. It is good to kind of get some new blood in there here and there, and hopefully we get some good stuff out of this. So yeah. All right, well, I've rambled on long enough. Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications, all that fun stuff. And I got 2 other DC comic book reviews I'll get out tomorrow. But I appreciate everyone for watching this, and as always, take care now. Bye bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.